Hey everybody, it's me, Rival Gaz, aka Real Gaz, doing my PhD update for this week. It's been a good week, a busy week. Lots of PhD things going on in the background, and a lot of very cool life things happening right up front and center. What's really neat is straight away I can just tell you that we're getting closer to coming back to stream soon because we're coming up with a solution, something that we can do and produce, and that's pretty exciting. I'm also pleased to say that my mental health and stuff has been improving, but that has taken a lot of effort on my behalf. And I'm also really pleased to say that I'm getting back on to editing and things like this, and it seems like we've turned a corner and things are getting better. That doesn't mean that I'm not getting triggered by the university or silly little things that happen, or bad news or whatever. I'm doing my best to minimize the harms and exposures to all this kind of stuff and making sure that I'm only paying attention to things that bring me joy and that are important to pay attention to and actually worth my time to pay attention to. There's simply no point triggering yourself and making it worse for yourself when nobody else actually cares and they're all just living their little lives, you know what I mean? It's nuts. But we're not here to talk about any of that. What I want to talk about this week is the confirmation of candidature and what I kind of got to do and what's involved, because some of you guys might be a little bit interested to know what's up. So the background to all of this is that part of the reason why I'm casual about going forward with it is A, I don't want the stress, and B, we've done so much work well in advance and we've always been ahead of everything. So it's just about maintaining and getting ready and rocking up on the day. And I know in and of myself that I am doing cool things and good work, and I know what I'm capable of and everything else. And now it's just time to be, judged by people who most likely know nothing about the topic or whatever, but I don't want to dwell on the negatives. The positive is that we're just getting through, right? Which is pretty neat. So what needs to be submitted is a research proposal, which is all done. A written statement about what you're going to do in the next year, showing that you can connect the dots between now and then. Bear in mind that everything that you have to do was set up by my former supervisor who was ejected from the university unceremoniously. And I don't want to dwell on what it is the university is doing. I just want to get up there and do something and let them decide. A Gantt chart as well, and a plagiarism check, right? So you got to do all those things, and then you give them all the documents, which I have, and then they organize 3 people to come and sit in on your presentation or defense or whatever they're calling this, and they ask you some questions about what it is that you got to do, So they need all my details and everything like that, and that's absolutely fine. So my thesis title is a 5-factor model of elite gaming, and that's the model that I worked on and came up with based on all my experience, and now we're here to test and validate that model to help us understand elite gaming and to have a lot of benefit for elite gamers. So I've got to outline the research questions and aims, including a literature review to justify these aims, right? So what I did for my literature review was I wrote all of this before the Routledge Companion of Esports came out, right? And there's no mention in that Companion of Elite Gaming, so I'm still all good. So we're just going with the background research from basically the top scholars in a few different fields, according to Google Scholar, combine all of their work and looking at specific referential or seminal texts that kind of define the area. And from that, and also based on my experience as a gamer, we sort of chart the research questions and aims. So the fundamental question really is, what is elite gaming? Hence the 5-factor model, hence the multiple questions that we ask as we test and interrogate that model, right? So the research methods that we intend to use for the sake of ethics and to make the project as simple as possible for meeting the requirements of the research training program to earn a PhD at Charles Darwin University in Australia, we will have basically minimal to like inconvenience. Like, it's just going to be very simple and straightforward work. So you've got to do more than just a literature review, but we will be using data that we collect and anonymize from various public sources, as well as following along with the discourse and doing content analysis of things that are publicly available but will probably need to be anonymized, and some surveys and interviews. That's what I would like to do, to be able to get all the information together so we can help to bolster the 5-factor model from a point of being evidenced through literature, as in like each of the 5 factors has some kind of like literature component, as well as by doing analysis of the audiovisual content, aka gamers' accomplishments, and the interviews and the survey results. We should be able to come up with something pretty meaty to digest there. It's also worth noting that, like, because I am to produce an artifact, that's for me to go and do. That's going to be like my own audio-visual artifact, similar to how I do content analysis of, in plain terms, other people's YouTube's videos. I will be making my own YouTube's videos of my gaming accomplishments based on my stream and my activities as a gamer, right, and an elite gamer at that. Then we talk about any ethics or safety issues, legal issues, or whatever that will come up in a budget, and a list of references. And we've done all of that, right? So for the make a plan for the future and backwards map it, as long as people understand that the stream and the content that I produce and the gaming that I do is like a year-round activity, right? It's basically like I do that all the time, then I make my videos, then we analyze the videos, and it's a cycle, and we just keep doing this over and over again until we get the results from our surveys, and until we get the interviews completed, and until we get the content analyzed from the gamers' accomplishments as their versions of the artifact that I'll be making an artifact. And I already have made several artifacts that are comparable, right? And this is just a little cycle that runs through, and we keep doing this until the time is up in the 3rd year, because we spend the 3rd year just consolidating all the work and writing the 50,000 word thesis. It's only a 50,000 word thesis, not a 100,000 word thesis, because I'm submitting an artifact as well, which will most likely be culminating in just a YouTube channel of all the different videos, right? So it does say here that I'm allowed to submit a pre-recorded video and justify my reasons, but as we know, the university has arbitrarily denied me of that possibility and forcing me to do a closed-door examination, which means that I can't actually really do a version of the presentation for you, because I wouldn't want to suffer disciplinary action, you know? So that's why this video is just me talking through what's in the form. They're going to ask me any difficulties in the supervision, and I'm going to say no. I just say no to anything, because, like, having gone through these problems in the past, well, everything, I understand that the university, it's not a good story, right? So let's just not talk about it. But I'm okay. I'm okay because I have plans and things in the future that we're going to do, and I'm not looking at the bad stuff. I'm not putting my head in the sand and ignoring it, right? It's just like I'm very well aware of it, but I'm doing everything in my power to make sure that I'm going to be in a better environment, with better people and better everything. And we just got to do this a little bit and get it done. So the things that they're going to assess me on, right, this is what they're going to go. They're going to be like, the candidate demonstrates an extensive understanding of the topic. Candidate demonstrates an awareness of the complexities or controversies or limitations in the literature. Limitations in the literature is precisely why I'm able to do my PhD. This research seems to address a clear problem or limitation in the literature. Definitely. Methods we'll use to collect and analyze data of information are appropriate and ethical. Yep. it's all like pretty straightforward. And how feasible is the project to do? You know what I mean? Very straightforward. I've made sure that I did all of this stuff before, which is why my project was so spectacular that they shook my hand and offered me a scholarship, but then chose to pretend like it never happened and deceived me into bringing my work here. Now they get to have my work without paying for it. Sorry, that sounded negative, right? I'm trying, like I'm saying, like every time I do anything, it's just bad. And I'm trying to be like, oh, yep, going bad. Nope, let's try really hard to not that and say something positive instead. The positive thing is that we're just getting ahead one way or the other. Any additional comments, any additional documents, so on and so forth. So how I plan to do the confirmation of candidature, because apparently it goes for like 30 minutes or so, is I'm going to have a copy of the proposal and I'm going to speak to that proposal, and I'm also going to have some slides together because I feel like they will most likely have not really engaged with my work very, very much. And I feel like the people on the panel probably haven't gone ahead and spent time to get really familiar with my field and everything else like that. So it's going to be my job to pretty much explain it to them. And so I feel like slides will help in that way, because I've kind of noticed that the people sort of struggle to do things around this place, you know. So as long as it's very simple and very straightforward, then we shouldn't really have any difficulties whatsoever, right? So that's pretty much the confirmation of candidature. It's next Friday, guys. It's next Friday, which is huge. So I'm super excited about that because it's like locked and loaded. And then next Thursday, I think. Next Thursday. I have no idea what's happening on Friday. It's currently a Friday today. Next Friday will be my PhD update. So I'll be telling you all about how the confirmation of candidature went. And hopefully I have a smile on my face and it's all just like good news. Don't worry though, guys. Like I've been having a smile on my face most days. However, like it's been tough. I've actually found the thing that helps me the most, right? Other than like trying to do some, like transcendental meditation and, cold showers and all this kind of stuff, is just a little bit of exercise. And to be honest, if I were to reduce my intensity of my dieting protocol and just like live a little more like freely, like have breakfast and things like this, I'd probably be a lot happier. So I kind of feel like I'm Goku or, talk about Mania. Or Rock Lee from Naruto. What I'm trying to say is that like, I still got my weights on, like I haven't really taken off my armor yet, so I can just train in the free. And so like I'm still at 10 times gravity, people. I'm all good, but I don't have no gray hairs or anything like that, so how stressed can I really be? So yeah, things have been really good. Outside of just the PhD and getting my hands dirty with the esports, all the latest esports research that's coming out, all right, and particularly sports science research that's coming out on esports. That's what most people are conflating sports science research with elite gaming, whereas for me, I feel like elite gaming really is at kind of this applied space, and in the art space, in my sociology space, I feel like it's really good. Speaking of sociology, that's one thing that I would like to do whilst I am putting together the slides for next week, is just really brush up on my sociology. So sociology isn't something that I've really focused much on in ages because, like that's what we did in my undergrad. And now you fast forward 10 years. So it would be really good to visit those things. But don't worry, guys, I'm not totally hopeless because, because I have a security background, it means that effectively the discipline is anchored in what's called international sociology. So everything is connected in one way or the other. There's lots of transferability with knowledge and things like this, right? So that's really cool. But I've found that just exercise and working on being happy and tuning out all the bad stuff and focusing on a plan and a solution to making myself happy has really been the key. And don't forget, guys, like people say like, and in particular, Lady Gaz says like, you can really notice the difference in like your happiness levels when you're not gaming and stuff. But gaming and doing all this stuff is like my peak. That's my element. That's my work, So when I'm not at work and my work is play, so I'm literally not working and I'm literally not playing. So I just have this huge emptiness there in a way, and that's like a cavity, and that's something that I've got to fill. Fill with music, fill with good podcasts and lectures, fill with stimulating conversations and exercise, fill with making my artifacts and all this kind of stuff. So, I didn't get like depressive because I stopped gaming. No, I got depressive because things that are life got in the way. And, adversity builds character, guys. I was watching a short speech by, I think his name is Jimmy, CEO or whoever of NVIDIA, and is he Stanford? Is he a Stanford grad? Well, he was talking to these Stanford grads, and he was like, basically, kiddos, you've got the best education and super high expectations, and you're unbelievably capable. The thing is that like you've just been in this perfect little bubble, and when you go outside of it, you're going to get wrecked. And that getting wrecked, because I had a brilliant education too, and I've been getting wrecked for ages, but he was just like, that getting wrecked is necessary. It builds the character for you to actually then go on to do super duper incredible things, because like that's a lot of the stuff that you're just not going to learn in this environment. You're going to learn everything else except for this kind of character that you really need, that's only really proven or made out on the streets, so to speak. So I've been going through my character development arc, good times, bad times, and I don't mind sharing that whatsoever. Again, it's just like when things don't meet your expectations and then you get a negative habituation, you need to break that, right? And let's go back to talking about the future of the stream and what we're going to do. So I can't tell you anything too much other than the fact that, again, I'm cooking, but I want to be able to show you guys some changes, and I don't want to make any announcements like it could be this or it could be that. I just want to show you guys. So yeah, thank you very much, everyone in the Discord, for being really patient with me during this time, and not bothering me, giving me my privacy, my space, because I got to work and I got to cook. And we've had so many huge wins and setbacks, but huge wins in my family, with Lady Gaz, with everything, and years of hard work, all coming together, all culminating. Oh, there is some things that I do have to say that did not transpire, unfortunately, and it is university related, as why it's unfortunate. We were not able to go to Georgetown. It wasn't really our fault. And basically what it was is that like these very special opportunities require maintenance, and we weren't able to do the appropriate maintenance because the university kind of got in the way of that, and we weren't able to do the essential strategizing and resource allocation because, again, the university got in the way of that. So we're not able to go to Georgetown despite organizing it all. And that was, that was a whole year's worth of work and effort down the drain. So you see how I'm just automatically going straight back to negative, because only ever negative things happen here. And I'm just really hoping that I can just get through and the COC or whatever. And so that way I can just start working on my ethics, so I can actually start working on the PhD properly, so I can get my PhD alongside Lady Gaz, so we can be graduates of this place together. It's just like a couples thing that we're doing, you know what I mean? Looking at it that way, it's really sweet and romantic, as well as like super big brain at the same time. Sometimes she says, maybe we should abandon that plan and you should just go to the best university you can because you're the best. And honestly, like, I'm so glad that I did all that study with Harvard, because they really taught me how I learn and how I do my best and everything else. And as much as I was saying in the other episodes, it would be brilliant to be in a really fantastic educational environment. I'm old enough and I have the ability to make that for myself. And there's something else that I didn't really mention that I learned not long after saying all of that stuff, which was the story of Albert Einstein. I know, right? But basically the reason why he left Oxford to go to Princeton was apparently because he needed more solitude. He just needed to be left alone so he could do his work. So as much as the environment was a super enabler, that bloke didn't need it. What he needed was to just be able to be comfy and to do his job. And right now, I'm in a space where I am comfy, but I can't do my job because there's too many like bad eggs around. So I feel like just total sea change and, brand new update, taking it to a whole new version, and then we're just going to absolutely sort of, rule. It's going to be wicked. So, yeah, I'm super enthusiastic. So confirmation of candidature next week. Hopefully good news. But that said, though, I only ever get bad news. So I am completely prepared to have to withdraw out of the PhD because of any number of reasons, like not enough expertise, not enough resources, so when I say not enough expertise, like nobody knows about the topic, not enough resources, like they might not be able to take on this project because they're simply too busy. The realities of trying to do an esports or an elite gaming thing are 4,000 kilometers away from any actual esports gaming scene, even though all the stuff's online and I've got a plan and everything. Because remember, guys, I was supposed to be doing this in Sydney, where they held like the biggest Counter-Strike events ever and all this kind of stuff, like Riot is there. Really fantastic place for elite gaming. Sydney or Melbourne was where I was meant to be, had it all going, and then we made a deal to come here and they didn't honor the deal. So we just got to see what happens. So I'm prepared for the worst, because it just means that like I will do a PhD elsewhere, and I'm also prepared for just a anticipated outcome, which is I've done everything that is required to a standard as required, so why can't I go through? But this place has never been simple, right? They always find a way to ruin things. So as I can self-monitor now, I'm still getting a little toxic, right? So maybe I need to go back and rewatch that Andrew Huberman episode on letting go of trauma. Maybe I will get around and do that a second time. But yeah, guys, look, it could be worse, because did you see how all those Kick partners and Kick green ticks verified streamers, right? So they met the same requirements to be partners as Twitch, like 75 average viewership and stuff. Many of them have just had their partnerships or their green ticks revoked just because Kick felt like it. They were like doing a cleanup of inactive accounts, doing a cleanup of sus accounts. And a streamer who I saw worked really hard, she did a really good job. I remember when she got it, she announced that she was going to drop out of her master's degree because all of this was working so good. So imagine just fast forwarding 6 months, abandoning your education because you're doing well as a streamer, just to have the organization not even remember you and your commitment and your effort and getting verified and all this stuff, just for them to like delete you. So sad. At least that's not happening to me. I tell you what's happening to me, guys. I am on the precipice of some of the most incredible stuff ever, and I just cannot wait. I just cannot wait, like a kid before Christmas, because I'm at the bottom now, but I'm about to take off, and so much work is happening to make that so, and we are gonna do it. All right, guys, I'm out of here. So. See you next week, and hopefully good news.